The Styrian Mountains holds one of the most thrilling and raceable racetracks across the world. The 4.3-kilometre circuit, first opened in 1969, has seen many changes throughout its 5-decade spell as a race circuit, and in that time it has hosted some of the biggest championships on the planet. Today, though, it's the host of the 5th round of the CUPRA SimRacing Series 2020, as 25 of the best sim racers take on the circuit in what promises to be 2 thrilling sprint races. Myself, Lewis McGlade, alongside me as always, Robert Wiesenmüller. Hello.
Hello everyone, hello Lewis. Yes indeed, round 5 of the CUPRA SimRacing Series at the Red Bull Ring. We can see a stacked field here, 25 drivers this time, because Jaroslav Honzik joins the grid as a VIP driver. You know him maybe better as Jardir on his YouTube channel. Raced in the last season and now he makes his return, but what a stacked field it is, otherwise won't be too easy for him.
No, absolutely not. We saw some incredible pace from him last season when he did take part at circuits like Spa. Very much fighting out. He was very much integral to Alex Dornaden's victory at Spa, basically pushing him further up the order and up into the race lead, and an eventual victory that went his way. So great to see him back on the field, and definitely one that's going to be contending with at least, the other 24 drivers. The calendar you can see there, a sprint round for today's racing at the Red Bull Ring. Focus on that for now. Obviously, we go to Slovakia when we go back to the endurance race, and I'm sure that'll be incredible. But today at the Red Bull Ring, we're going to see some crazy racing, Rob.
We're going to see some crazy racing indeed, and we saw some crazy racing 2 weeks ago. Lewis actually has the highlights for you, so you can watch them right now.
Welcome to highlights from the 4th round of the CUPRA SimRacing Series from the Autodromo Nazionale di Monza. David Nagy would have his 3rd consecutive pole position in the championship as he would head Benz Banchi on the rundown towards the Rettifilio for the first time. Zoltan Suti, who had a great qualifying session in 3rd position, was under attack from Moritz Lerner, who went all the way around the outside of the Rettifilio to grab 3rd. Further down the order, Gianmarco Fiduci and Adam Pinches would have an incident, and Gianmarco Fiduci would be fired down the escape road at the Rettifilio. A couple of laps into the race, and Benz Banchi would have a move for the lead. He'd go down the inside at the Rettifilio to get by David Nagy, who didn't really fight the position too hard. On the cutback, Zoltan Suti would try and get by Moritz Lerner, but was unable to do so. Further down the order, last year's race winner here at this venue, Gergo Baudi, was trying to work his way further up the order, passing Emre Cihan and opening the door for Kirill Antonov and Jack Keithley to work their way past. At the front of the field, David Nagy would then have an attempt for the race lead himself as he would go for the cutback and nearly get by. But unfortunately that would open the door for Moritz Lerner to get his way by, and on the run down towards the De La Rogère chicane, he'd fire it around the outside, and with an excellent move, he'd be up into 2nd position. No podiums this season thus far for Moritz Lerner. Around the outside, Kirill Antonov would get by Ben Zupanek, and following him straight through into the first Lesmo, Jack Keithley would also gain the place. Then on the run down towards the Rettifilio, Jack Keithley would be on the inside and would have to fight his way around the outside of Kirill Antonov, but whilst they were all fighting, the top 4 was really allowed to run away. Benz Banchi, who was leading that, would make this mistake very, very small, but picked up a track cut and a slow down penalty. He'd do his best to try and hang on, but on the inside of the first Lesmo, he'd still have to give up way, way too much time, and Moritz Lerner would go all the way around the outside, dragging David Nagy with him. He'd split the Mirror Esports drivers as Zoltan Suti wasn't quite able to get by at the 2nd Lesmo, and that would be his track cuts done later in the race. Very, very quickly to come back, Benz Banchi would go down the inside of David Nagy and retake 2nd position, just giving enough of a gap to Moritz Lerner, and then would come straight into the pit lane to fulfill his pit lane requirement. The top 3 would also follow a couple of laps later, which would just give him enough room to pull out from Benz Banchi a little bit. On the run down towards the Rettifilio though, Benz Banchi would try and make it around the outside. He'd overcook the corner though, cut the chicane, and that would give him a mighty slowdown. He'd have to drop the position back to Zoltan Suti, who'd got by David Nagy on the pit stops, and then also David Nagy himself still continuing to give more time up. By the time that David Nagy was allowed by Zoltan Suti, Moritz Lerner had already cleared off by over a second. Later in the race, Benz Banchi would take the 3rd position off of Zoltan Suti and up onto the podium, but it was nothing to stop this man at the front of the field. Moritz Lerner taking his first victory in the CUPRA SimRacing Series in fantastic, controlling fashion.
Thanks a lot for the highlights, Lewis, and we are already in the qualifying session here, in the first of 2 qualifying sessions on the Red Bull Ring. Qualifying is important, but it's not the most important thing. That's the race, of course, where you can gain 100 points per race. But we prepared a little statistic here with the best, with the pole position records. And David Notch, current championship leader, sitting on 4 pole positions, 3 in a row.
Yeah, it's been an incredible run for Notch. Like you said, 3 consecutive pole positions in the CUPRA SimRacing Series in 2020, having taken the 2 at Zandvoort and then the 1 last time out at Monza. Important to note, going into the session, though, it was his teammate Ben Zupanek who was topping the session of the practice running into this, as Gergo Baldi was the driver directly behind. That was showing that slipstream was so very important because the gap that he had was 0.2 of a second. So big stuff. Of course, points are up for offer in qualifying, and you can see there the points in the championship. Moritz Lerner did take a few points off of David Notch, who has nearly an 100-point lead in this championship. It's 100 points for a victory each race this afternoon. So it is a great run thus far, at least through the opening 4 rounds of the championship. Important to note as well, last year when we did the CUPRA SimRacing Series, it was only a 5-round championship. So this, last year, would have been the finale. However, coming into it today, obviously we've got a few more a few more rounds to run this season, not even halfway yet.
Yes, that's true. And we've also got a lot more contenders on the grid. Of course, we're missing Alex Dorn, even champion of the last season. Jaroslav Fonsik, we can see here on the screen. Actually got a camera from him. He's talking to his audience. You can check it out on YouTube. The channel is called Jardir. Yeah, last year was in the top 10 in the championship. I think he was 6th or 7th in the end. I think he must have been 7th. And currently P23 in the practice session. So, yeah, it just shows how the level has risen here in the CUPRA SimRacing Series.
We had multiple top 5s in that run last season as well. And like I said, helping Alex to victory. Spa and at various other times of the season was definitely part of the front running pack, just more so towards the back of it, but putting some very respectable performances. Was 12th in the practice heading into this and is very much lodged in the slipstream there, and could potentially move his way further up the order than what we'd anticipate. He was struggling a little bit in practice like prior to today, but seems fairly pacey at the moment. Here he is then. 3 pole positions in a row from our championship leader, Mirror Esports, David Notch. Obviously had the first pole position in the CUPRA SimRacing Series and had a dry run until a few weeks ago. Comes through the final corner and he's going to be the first one setting a benchmark time. What is it going to be? That's Juan Manuel Gomez, Leandro Vela and Gergo Baldi directly behind. David Notch sets a 36.819, immediately deposed by his teammate Gergo Baldi, doing a 36.513. A couple of tenths off of what we saw in practice, but still a healthy time to open the session.
Remember, Tihan fastest in pre-qualifying, up to 3rd position. And but that's a very competitive time. Only 36.3 in the pre-qualifying for Tihan, so just 2 tenths faster. And normally the times are a little bit slower here once the cars are fueled up, got the tire wear on.
You would assume, though, in this session we could potentially see a very fast time, considering the slipstream and how important that's going to be. We saw Emery Chihan there just diving down the inside, trying to gain as much time as possible. We look at Tim Yarshall, did not have a good run back in Monza. Early race incident for him, dropped him out of the race, but had a couple of podiums back in Zandvoort. It's very much towards the top end. A big battle in race 1 there with Jack Keithley, who was looking pretty quick coming into this. His championship position of Jack Keithley does not do his pace justice. He has had some poor connection issues, we'll say that.
Yes, indeed. He had always a contender for a race and won at Imola in the championship. Not looking good for him, but he's still ahead of the Euronics Gaming duo here. Florian Hasse, that's the first car with the number 5, blue and white. And then with the number 9 and the blue and grey car, Tim Yarshall. On a very decent lap. I think it must be Norbert Posan who's dragging both of them along.
It is indeed the number 13 car. They use a lot of curb coming through the final couple of corners. Oh, Posan pulls straight off, doesn't fancy that run to the line. Tim Yarshall is going to get a great slipstream though. Goes only to 5th.
A bit of a surprise that it's only P5.
Things were looking good for the young German. Jeroen Moorman returning to the championship.
Yes, and a big welcome to his fan club as well in the YouTube chat. Great to see him back, this time in a different car with the number 7. It's one of the returning drivers, but we also have a couple of debutants here in the race. Let's go to the first one. Go to Kirill Sokovikov. He's actually one of our camera cars as well.
Managed to get himself on the grid for the first time in the CUPRA SimRacing Series of 2020, and we welcome him. Whether he'll be fighting towards the front, we'll see if he can get somewhere inside the top 10. Pace, potential, we'll have to wait and see. It's the thing with a new name, we never really know. Everyone, though, prior to this session, we were saying that they were all fighting within, everyone was within half a second. It was a very, very tight battle. Even in practice and stuff. So I reckon we'll see some very close stuff here through qualifying. Of course, one thing to note with today, we've got this 15-minute qualifying session. Then we do one of the races. And then afterwards, to set the grid for race 2, those of you that are joining us for the first time in 2020, you may have seen 2019's CUPRA SimRacing Series. There's no reverse grid like that. We do qualifying again. It's only a 5-minute session heading into the second race of the afternoon, though. Moritz Lerner, Victor, last time out, hadn't had a podium all season until that victory at Monza, and put in a truly fantastic drive. Did not put a foot wrong all day, and when he got a second gap to the likes of Noj and Zoltan Suti and Ben Spanky, he was mistake free to the checkered flag. It was perfect.
P6 now. Marco Fiducci, and we've got a strong Italian battle here in this race. 3 Italian drivers from 3 teams. Fiducci from Absolute Motorsport Racing Team, also one of the camera cars there. He doesn't have a racing rig, he's just sitting on a normal chair. We'll put on his desk and one monitor. Still very competitive, very good season from him so far, up to P10.
Hasn't quite had the form of the earlier part of the season back in Germany, where he was very, very impressive, but still showing some good speed and some decent ability on the race circuit.
And here's Simone Puglisi from the Ballas Racing Team, big rivals of the Absolute Motorsport Racing Team, so it will be interesting to see who comes out on top. So far, advantage for Fiducci.
Indeed. We'll see how those Italians battle it out across the day, because as much as qualifying is one thing, this is a circuit where you can really, really overtake. Leandro Vela, though, Snow Shatton Esports, up in P2. Doesn't have his twin brother in the championship anymore, but Leandro's within the top 10 of the points just. He's in 10th place. And at the moment, just dropping it off. But so impressive to be up in second position. No slipstream here for Moritz Lerner. Looks like he doesn't need it. What's this going to be towards the line?
Let's see if he lost some time in the final sector.
No.
Not really. Pole
Very
position for
nice.
Moritz Lerner.
Wow. A 4.77. And with no slipstream as well. Teammate way down the order. Jack Keithley. He has had a few poor qualifyings this season. But nevertheless, he has taken a race victory, and he is a driver where if he does qualify poorly, you would expect to see him fly his way up the order. Didn't qualify well at Monza, but still fought his way up the order, and hopefully it won't be 2 poor qualifyings back-to-back for him, although those sector times are not looking pretty. As much as it says that it's only 3/10 off and by the end of sector 2, he's 4/10 off and he's down in 15th. It is a very, very tight field. If he completed even with a purple final sector, ideally he's only really going to 12th at the moment. Let's see what he does as he crosses the line. The 28-year-old goes to 10th. There we go. So it proves me wrong, doesn't he? Up to P10. Nice work.
Yeah,
very good
decent
final
lap.
sector.
And it's interesting to see Giacomo Baldi as the leading Mira driver here. We know it from the WTCR Championship. There it's quite often the case as he's the reigning champion from both the online season and the season where they race against the real racing drivers. But here, it was mostly all about his teammate, about David Notch. And I think they're lining up there, Notch and Zupanek behind, to give the slipstream to the 2 drivers who are in championship contention. Because Giacomo Baldi, you see him here on the screen, he really isn't in championship contention. He's just done 1 round this season at Monza.
It wasn't, being like rude or whatever, he wasn't as quick as I would have expected him to be at Monza. You can see the 4th car in line, by the way. That's Gianmarco Fiducci. He's being pulled. Mistake from David Noj, though, allows Ben Zupanek to go straight through. Where is Noj currently qualified?
P9.
P9. Not great for our
And
championship
look at Barner,
leader.
for example, as well. Barner in P7. That's great. He's got chances to get into the top 10 in the championship. And top 10 means prize money at the end of the season.
And if Barner improves by only a tenth of a second, he moves from 7th up to at least the front row. So we'll have to wait and see what Zupanek does as well. He's only a tenth off the pole position. He's getting slipstreamed by Gergo Baldi, going through the final couple of corners down towards A1 for the end of his qualifying. Down in 8th position, the Mirror Esports driver. Got a decent slipstream though. We'll see if David Nosh as well can move up in the final 3 minutes of the session. He'd have to stay out. I don't know if he has. I'm assuming so. Towards the line.
Oh, second.
Zupanek second. What a final sector that was.
And it is David Nosh, the next guy in line. Oh, is that a cut in the first corner? That was very close.
May have had an exceed on track limits there. He's certainly not looking particularly fast when it comes to the slipstream up of Ben Zupanek. He's not really close enough. He's got Gianmarco Fiducci behind. I'm not sure who the third car in line is. That's Gergo Baldi. Oh, it is, yeah, Gergo Baldi. I thought it wasn't him. Trying to get out of the way of Ben Zupanek. And may just try and give a little bit extra slipstream to his teammate. Wasn't a cut. Still going. Only 3 minutes left of the session. Oh, he's overcooked the corner again, is he? Is he going to hook the apex up? Oh, he does very nicely as well. This needs to be a good lap from David Nosh, his main championship rival. Guy, I know it's 90 points, which is a solid margin. You don't want to be using that up, though, on round 5. Currently sat on pole position. David Nosh, 3 consecutive poles, running very, very right, heading into the arena section through Lauda.
So White here has to watch out, so easy to get track limits.
He's really, really pushing this car as hard as he can. There, Gergo Baldi gets straight out of the way. Teammates very much trying to help, but I don't think that's really helped. No, that's it. Done. David Nosh down in 10th place after 3 consecutive pole positions. His main championship rival, Moritz Lerner, on the pole. Jack Keithley to the line outside of the top 10. Is he going to move David Nosh outside of it himself? No. Oh, he does actually. He goes up to 9th position a bit later with the timing. Up to 9th place, though, and David Nosh not even starting inside the top 10, Rob.
Yeah, what a surprise. And he can't improve his time, but look at this. And Spunky, P15 only, even worse.
Well, especially with a Red Bull Racing Esports driver at the Red Bull ring. Not looking so great for Bent Banky.
It's actually Honzik behind him, so let's go on board with Honzik here.
He's the kind of guy who has a good time regardless of what he's doing. Whether he's starting at the back, mid-pack, or at the front of the field.
He's really not far off. He's just 6 tenths off. But he's still 22nd.
But 6 tenths off in qualifying is a long way. 6 tenths off in the race. Realistically, with slipstream and stuff and pack racing, what we're expecting to see here, I think he might be able to move his way up, especially with someone with the racecraft of Jaroslav Honzik way over the curb at the final corner. I think that's going to cost him a fair amount of time. I don't know if this is going to be an improvement from Bent Banky. To the line he goes.
It is, but only P14.
Not great.
Almost everyone in the pits already. Jihan is out, but I don't think he's on a good lap. Let's actually see him here.
I don't think he's on a lap at all. I did hear him wheel spinning out of the pit lane. I don't think he's on a time. No, he's not. P5 though for Emre Jihan.
Sokolikov, the final car that is actually still out on the track.
There have been a few quality qualifyings in this. Leandro Vela and Juan Manuel Gomez for Snowshatten both up in the top 6. They've done a very, very credible job deposing the likes of Tim Yarshall, of Jack Keithley, David Nosh, Bent Banky as well, all beating all of that lot. Adam Pinchez as well. Way down the order. We'll see what Sokovikov can do towards the line. I don't think it's going to be an improvement. He's going to stay 18th place. You can see there Moritz Lerner and Bent Zupanek on the front row ahead of Baldi, Vela, Emre Jihan, Juan Manuel Gomez, Tim Yarshall, Martin Barner, Jack Keithley and Kirill Antonov, your top 10. Let's get ready for race 1. Well, the picturesque Styrian Mountains then getting ready to host our first race of the evening. 25 minutes ahead of us, Moritz Lerner trying to go and close down a gap to David Nagy in the championship on pole position ahead of Bent Zupanek, and he's got an important thing to do. Oh, it's a terrible, terrible launch from Leandro Vela from P4 as he's going to drop right down into the mid-pack. Moritz Lerner, great launch off the line, going to have to cover it off. No, he's all right into T1. Gergo Baldi and Bent Zupanek, the two teammates of David Nagy, have got a lot of work to do as you see them all fanning out in the background, going 3-4 wide in the background. I think that's Kirill Antonov going side by side with maybe Jack Keithley there. It's all getting very, very tight. As we can see everyone filing their way up towards turn 3. Moritz Lerner did cover off the inside, but then goes back to the outside, and Bent Zupanek is going to take the lead, opening the door as well to the likes of Gergo Baldi and Emre Cihan, who's qualified in 4th place and trying to find his way up onto the podium positions. We look back from Bent Zupanek, the Mirror Esports driver, teammate of that number 14 car, the black and white one in the background. Moritz Lerner is going to have to go around the outside. That one's never really worked, didn't work for Albon. He might try and make it though. We saw some stuff for the ADAC GT Masters. Oh, just a touch of contact on exit, and Bent Zupanek I think is just about to hold on. Great launch from Zupanek. It was a decent attempt from Moritz Lerner to defend that. Now Gergo Baldi's going to try and go for an undercut here through the middle part of the sector, the end of sector 2. Bent Zupanek though is going to hang on. David Nagy up to P9 only, Rob.
A spectacular start, and Leandro Verle just wasted his good qualifying position. He's down to 24th. One driver already left the session, so he's the last one running.
Yeah,
here Moritz Lerner. And a lot of pressure by Mira. There's Gergo Baldi right behind him in the black and white car.
I think the Mirror Esports drivers will just try and slow Moritz Lerner up as much as possible and hopefully help his teammate David Nagy, who's currently in P10 behind Kirill Antonov and Tim Yarshall. To the inside goes Moritz Lerner. Oh, throws it over the curb. That was a very, very aggressive lunge into the first corner. Oh, slipping and sliding in the background. Juan Manuel Gomez now is going to get by Emre Cihan and up into P4 as Gergo Baldi is pushing his teammate on the run up towards turn 3. Touch of contact between Bent Zupanek and Moritz Lerner. Oh my goodness me, look at the chaos behind this. Moritz Lerner is going to hold the lead as Juan Manuel Gomez goes to 2nd. What a drive. Bent Zupanek and Emre Cihan. Jack Keithley in the mix, who's going side by side with Gergo Baldi. Touch of contact again between the two of those as Moritz Lerner's heading the field. This is madness, Rob. Oh, Emre Cihan! Was that attack from the from Gergo Baldi? I think
it must have been. Cihan, fastest driver in the pre-qualifying, down to P5, but still a good race from him. Oi, Antonov there in the background, getting in the side of Martin Bahner. Antonov picked up a penalty last time, so he needs to watch out.
Open the door maybe for David Nagy. He's now going side by side with Bahner out of the 2nd sector and towards Rintz. Through Lauda they go, still side by side. Is Bahner going to lift out of it? I think I just saw him starting to lift out of it and going to drop behind David Nagy. Oh no, he's not. He's going to leave it down the inside. There's contact between the two. David Nagy holds on, goes around the outside of the penultimate corner. Great stuff from him as we look at Kirill Antonov on the back of Tim Yarshall. This is exactly what we expected at Austria.
Yeah, what a frantic start. Jaroslav Honzik up to P20, so a good start for him. Whereas Banky, he's P12. Oh, Yarshall goes off.
I think he got a touch of contact there from Kirill Antonov. I think he got what would only be classified as boffed.
Yarshall and Antonov again.
Oh, has Bahner got a problem?
Maybe he got a slowdown penalty.
Very potential, yeah, that makes sense.
Oh, that's tight there.
That's Tim Yarshall with Bent Banky, who's up to 11th. Martin Bahner, who's dropped down now to 14th. Adam Pinches and Corentin Ponto getting involved in this. And moving their way up the order. Jaroslav Honzik at the back of the field, I think just waiting for an eruption. And I don't blame him.
Still looks happy, but something must have happened there for him. Oh, in the foreground, Sokovikov and Verle get into each other. Position gain again for Honzik.
The lofty heights of P4 for Leandro Verle, now down to last position. Jaroslav Honzik, touch. There's a further touch between these two. And Honzik's going to try and leave it around the outside. Not really going to be in the best position for Lauda. It's going to go for that cutback. But like I said, whether he's at the back of the field or at the front doesn't really matter. He's loving it.
Yeah, so Kubikov under a lot of pressure. The Russian on his debut.
I don't know if he knows the experience of the likes of Jaroslav Honzik on RaceRoom, but he's made a couple of mistakes there through the final 2 corners of the circuit, and clearly trying to push very, very hard as the Russian of Sokovikov. And with Jaroslav Honzik behind, I don't blame him. I'd be pushing as hard as I could as well. Moritz Lerner then leading the field. Juan Manuel Gomez from Bent Zupanek and Gergo Baudi. The 2 Mirror Esports drivers they couldn't really do much against Moritz Lerner. He's just been a man on form, and that aggressive lunge at T1 might have just been very, very well timed. Opened the door for the Argentinian of Gomez, and he opened it and, well, stepped his way through and up into 2nd position. Quality drive from the Snow Schatten driver. David Nagy in P8, the teammate of the 2 Hungarians in 3rd and 4th. Not been an ideal qualifying session for him. Gone +3 in this race thus far in the opening 6 minutes of proceedings.
What I think is really interesting is that Lerner, of course, he's a championship contender, but Gomez and Zupanek are both not in the top 10 at the moment. So he will gain a lot of points on all his rivals. Baldi is not in the top 10 either. Cihan and Keithley have both lost points. Both have had DNFs this season. And then Antonov is probably his closest contender, who's 4th in the championship, running in P7.
This could be a very, very big race for the Williams Esports driver, especially with his main rival far down the order. Oh, that was nearly spinning Gergo Baudi. Did Emre Cihan. Baudi's just going to hang on, maybe trying to repay the favour of what happened down at T5 earlier in the race. Cihan, though, I genuinely thought that Gergo Baudi was going there. You can see him sat there. He never really has any emotion, does Gergo Baudi. As Emre Cihan, takes way too much curb as he was trying to cover off Jack Keithley, who's now fighting with Kirill Antonov. Those two work their way up the order together, pushing each other through on plenty of moves. Bent Zupanek's got up into 2nd position, and by Manuel Gomez. As maybe no, it's going to the outside as Gomez in the black car. Goes for the cutback at T3 at Remus. Wasn't quite enough. Bent Zupanek then to 2nd position. Whilst they're all fighting, though, look at the gap between 3rd and 4th. It is a big gap back to Gergo Baudi and Jack Keithley now, as he's got by Emre Cihan.
And Keithley's always attacking. He's not wasting any time side by side. Antonov!
Oh, Antonov! Straight down the inside, you might get Cihan as well. They're 3 wide. Cihan on the left-hand side, furthest left. Kirill Antonov furthest right. And that's pushed Jack Keithley down the order. And David Nagy might be able to gain a position through all of this. It is absolute madness. Here is Kirill Antonov. Oh, my goodness me, he's up there. Jack Keithley down the inside of Emre Cihan. David Nagy, where he could have gained, didn't so. And Jack Keithley, he is getting feisty now, as he pushes his way by Emre Cihan, as is Kirill Antonov, who's in the bottom end of the top 5, now on the back of Gergo Baudi. Whilst they're all fighting this hard, they've cost themselves 3 seconds to the podium.
Antonov around the outside of Gergo Baudi, cuts the track there, so he might have a slowdown penalty. Anyway, it doesn't stop him from fighting.
My goodness. I think he might have a slowdown. I'd be surprised if he didn't get one. Gergo Baudi wasn't happy with that. Tries to push it across. Now covers off Jack Keithley on the run up towards the first corner. Had to be very decisive with his line there and maybe switched it a couple of times. Gergo Baudi then just with 4th position. They're still side by side, Rob. Kirill Antonov, whether he's got a slowdown or not, he is holding position there. That's pushed Gergo Baudi through. And Jack Keithley's eyeing up a move here. He's definitely going to dive it on Kirill Antonov. Is he going to make contact with Gergo? Emre Cihan around the outside. Oh, wow. What a move. Up past Kirill Antonov and past Jack Keithley. That is sensational from the Turkish driver. He's going to go to the inside, maybe the outside at T5. My goodness.
Only gets the outside. Keithley sliding in the background.
I think he got hit by Nagy. Potential contact there with David Nagy.
Look at this battle up to Puanto and P14. Everyone's fighting.
Okay, it's hard to keep track of. Gianmarco Fiducci in there, the white and black car, getting down the inside of Bent Banki, who's not really made much progress. That's the number 10 and the number 2. We look at Corentin Puanto ahead of him. We've got Poussin. It's it is feisty work here. Oh, look at that in the foreground. I think that was Emery Chihan going to the inside of Gogo Bowdy, the penultimate corner. And Gogo Bowdy's find himself way off and rejoins straight into the side of Emery Chihan. I'm not going to have a voice at the end of this. Chihan, I'm assuming there was contact which pushed Gogo Bowdy off wide, and that's why he wasn't particularly fussed with his re-entry to the race circuit. Chihan taking the widest line through T1 he possibly can. Kirill Antonov also ran very, very far wide there at T1. I don't know if this is going to be calm all afternoon, Rob.
I don't think so. Outside line again for Chihan. Could work, but Baldy's not going to leave him any room from now on. Actually quite a bad exit for Emery Chihan.
Didn't really work out for him, and I think Gogo Bowdy is just going to hold the inside on the run to 5. There he is. There's that jink to the right-hand side of the race circuit. And Chihan's going to try and go around the outside. It's just not really an ideal. In a front-wheel drive, it just doesn't really work, and it might open the door to the likes of Jack Keithley. The thing is he has to go for it, otherwise Keithley is just going to bury it down the inside of Emery Chihan anyway. Oh, he was thinking of trying it, as was Kirill Antonov. They're all going to hold in their positions at the moment. Tim Yarshall ahead up to P11. I saw that on the standings. David Noj still not able to really make any progress. He's the 5th car in line, just behind Kirill Antonov. Not really able to make much progress. You can see Jack Keithley on the right-hand side of your screen. His dad won't be in the background this time, because I don't think we're going to get a race victory from Jack Keithley, at least in the first race this afternoon, based on the current position and how far the top 3 are ahead. Things looking very rosy for his teammate Moritz Lerner at the front by 1.5 seconds from Zupanek and Gomez. Both battling over what would be a great podium for both of those drivers.
Let's see if Keithley's going for a move here. He's got Antonov behind him, who's probably even more aggressive on track. And Chihan has shown that he's driving on the same aggression level today. Chihan to the outside, Keithley immediately to the inside. Contact between Chihan and Baldy might allow Keithley through. And Antonov there, right off the circuit. Oh, there's a car on the roof in the background.
Who's that? Barner? It is Barner. Whether he took too much curb on the inside of T3 of Remus, I'm not really too sure. But either way, he was on his roof and down to last place. Not ideal. Kirill Antonov, though, received a bit of a boff at Remus from Noj and rejoined in the same fashion. Gianmarco Fiducci in P9. This is a battle. Tim Yarshall is the blue and grey car on the inside of Posan.
And Fiducci just received a big push in Schlossgold corner. You can see the damage on the side of his car. Damage is on, but there's not a lot of damage in these cars. They're built pretty robust. If you ever see a real World Touring Car race, you know what we're talking about here. These cars, they are built for some contact as well. And Fiducci lost a lot of time to Antonov and to Notch by receiving this hit by one of these drivers behind him. And I think it might have been Yarshall, by the way he's attacking him here.
Oh my goodness me, that was good hands to catch that one. Very well done, Gianmarco Fiducci. A move at the... yeah, he's not happy, and to be fair, I don't blame him. I wouldn't have been either if Tim Yarshall was diving me into the final corner around the Red Bull Ring. It's not a great overtaking opportunity unless you're on a bike. Of course, bikes do race around here, and they will do a couple of times this year, but these aren't bikes. These are touring cars. I know every corner's an overtaking opportunity, but here's Tim Yarshall. He's found a good one. He's down the inside. Oh, Fiducci's run wide by himself. Rejoins in behind Tim Yarshall. That's a much better attempt.
Yeah, it was a better attempt indeed. But he still won't be happy. He was taken out last time by Pinchers. Not the best race for Pinchers either. He's fighting with Bunky, and these two will lose a lot of points in the championship. Hassel right there as well.
Yeah, this really is a bit of a collector's item, seeing Bent Banky down in 12th place and fighting and on pace as well. That's not through misfortune, through contact, through any ifs and buts. It seems, at least at the moment, that it is purely through pace. Attiladina in 16th place, now trying to fight past Corentin Ponto, another camera car. We had him last time as a camera car as well, I remember.
Yeah. It's caught up to this battle. And you know, right behind him is Supervikov. He was fighting for last place earlier on with Honzig. Made up quite a few positions.
A squeeze there between Adam Pinches and Florian Haase, as Haase almost attempted to go around the outside of the final corner. Here's Attiladina going down the inside. Here's at the front, or towards the, in that battle for the top 5. Jack Keithley's at the head of that. Emre Cihan and Gergo Bowdy are the two that are going side by side up towards Remus, with Emre Cihan on the inside having that what seems to be the more favoured line. Jack Keithley sort of picked the middle of the road a touch. Oh my goodness me. David Nagy fires it down the inside and gets both positions on Emre Cihan and Gergo Bowdy. That was madness. Kirill Antonov's now down the inside of Gergo Bowdy. He's gone from 4th down to 8th, maybe, if Kirill Antonov can pull this one off. Cihan's now defends the inside. Thought he might have was going to go for Nodge there, but he's way too far back. Aggressive move from Nodge there at T3, and you'd argue maybe he has to make it considering Moritz Lerner's position in this race.
And we see the chat messages as well. You know, is there really damage on? Yes, there is damage on. Damage is on full. So I think a lot of these cars will have a bit of suspension damage by now. Maybe the steering wheel not quite straight. And you can see they're still going at a fast pace, but it's a massive lead for Moritz Lerner. At least over P4. How far ahead he already is.
Going for back-to-back victories in the CUPRA SimRacing series. Of course, most wins in a championship is at 3, if I remember correctly. For David Nagy is one that's on 3.
And
who's the other one? I think
Ben Spanky as well.
Yeah, Ben Spanky's the other one on 3. Moritz Lerner's looking to go back-to-back and get 2. And, well, maybe throw himself in contention for that statistic as well. Jack Keithley's on 2, having won at Macau and of course earlier this season at Imola. And he's currently in P4. I don't think it's going to translate itself into a victory unless something monumental happens. But 4th place would be quite good for the Englishman, but he's got a lot of pressure to deal with from our championship leader. Fiducci and Tim Yarshall switch positions and still switch again. Down towards Schlossgold. Gianmarco Fiducci's on the outside. Ben Spanky behind Tim Yarshall, maybe trying to push him through. Tim Yarshall on the inside, or just trying to pinch it back over to the apex was Fiducci and try to cover off Ben Spanky. Certainly did so. Still 7.5 minutes to go in this race.
Fiducci will be angry after this race, and I think he's got a point. He's been pushed quite a few times already this season. And of course, he's in the top 10 of the championship standings. He's one of the drivers in contention for prize money.
I genuinely thought he was going to try it with Ben Spanky down into the penultimate corner from that far back. Would have been brave. Very, very brave. But thought better of it. He was very, very aggressive last round, was Ben Spanky. Realistically cost himself potentially the chance of going for a victory when he, after the pit stop, tried going around the outside at the first chicane and very much misjudged it. Got himself a slowdown penalty. It also slowed down 2nd and 3rd place with Zupanek and Nagy, and effectively through that allowed Moritz Lerner to run away. Here is Nagy to the outside of Jack Keithley and Emre Cihan on the inside. That red and black car, I think Cihan's going to be through here. And, back up into 5th place. Not letting go though is the Mirror Esports driver. He's got plenty good potential, but whoa, lock of the brakes, there's contact! My goodness me. Again, I am very surprised that Nagy was able to keep that one on the road, because that was a hefty whack.
Yeah, Cihan lost it on the braking there. Drivers, it is a fixed setup competition, but drivers can change the brake bias. They can also change it on the fly. And on this track, it makes sense to run a different brake bias in certain corners. And it seems like he went for a very aggressive setting, very far to the back for this corner, and almost lost it there. When you have a slight movement in the braking zone in a front-wheel drive car, it can be very difficult to control. And Garibaldi trying around the outside.
Yeah, really gave it a good go on Kirill Antonov. It's not really going to come to anything once they reach the final corner. But he is going to go for a beautiful cutback And that'll give him the inside on the run up towards turn 1. You can see there, David Nosh straight over to give his teammate a bit of slipstream. As they run up towards turn 1, I think it is going to be good for Gergo Bowdy. Kirill Anton's going to try it around the outside, but it's only got one real place that he's going, and that is over the exit curb. And that's going to open the door. Oh, trying to slot in behind. Kirill Antonov is there, though, as was Gergo Bowdy at that point. Yeah, you say about, obviously, this circuit has a lot of undulations, a lot of up and down to it. As you're coming down, obviously, when you get on the brakes, it's going to pitch the nose, as Emre Cihan has got down the inside of Kirill Antonov. It pitches the nose down, and that throws the rear end up. So obviously, if your brake bias is quite rearward, your rear wheels are quite light heading into a downhill corner like that. So it's going to lock the rears. That's what happened to Emre Cihan, and was actually very, very lucky that that Nosh was there, so he didn't fly straight off into the gravel trap. That was Kirill Antonov an awful lot of time there, that mistake.
Yeah.
It was a bit of a front right lockup.
Was it maybe a slowdown as well, because he was pushed out of the track limits there by, I think, Cihan. I don't fancy being a steward after this race. I think there will be a lot of reports from angry drivers picked up slowdowns after being pushed out just a little bit, but it's also this track, it invites the drivers to use the runoff areas, also invites them to, you know, maybe not leave enough room, because it looks like there's so much room, there's so much tarmac on the outside.
Yeah, I also wouldn't be a steward either, but that's why we're sat here in the commentary booth, Rob. We can just talk about this rather than having to deal with it, at least for the moment. As Gomez putting in drive of the season, where his teammate Vela had an incredible qualifying in P4. Terrible start, dropped all the way down and is now in 21st place. Gomez doing the solid work for Snow Shatton Esports, up in 3rd place and battling with Mirror Esports' Ben Supranek for a potential runner-up position here in the first race at Austria. I was trying to go for a very straight exit there to Remus.
If Notch gets P4 here, that's good. That's really good for his championship. Still losing points compared to Lerner, but considering where he was in qualifying, that's very good damage recovery. I think he started 11th, right?
He was 11th indeed. He's just got to be careful not to try anything too silly that'll either get him a penalty or even just cost him some positions here with the battle for Jack Keithley. If I was him, I'd almost be content, almost, not fully, I'd almost be content with sitting in 5th and just being like, look, I've done a decent recovery. The difference on points between 4th and 5th actually isn't that much. Is it worth pushing any extra buttons? That could, with the chasing pack as well, if it's a big off, you're going to lose an awful lot of points from what has been a great drive from the Hungarian. He's also got his teammate directly behind, so he knows there's really no pressure from Gergo Bowdy, which will help. There's a couple more laps to go in this race. The outside, and very much committed on the brakes.
Way off.
Oh, that's what I mean. And if he gets a slowdown from this, and you'd think he has, Gergo Bowdy's going to sit behind him. He's definitely got. Has he got a slowdown? Has Jack Keithley?
How can he even take a slowdown if he has one now?
Yeah, I don't think he can.
Antonov.
Oh, Antonov going way, way deep. Jack Keithley as well. Jack Keithley must have had a slowdown of some description because he's dropped right back into this pack, considering how far these two were ahead. Kirill Antonov then threw it up into 6th position. Emre Cihan and Gergo Bowdy, I said, was it worth the risk? And at this point, as much as he's still holding on to 5th place and trying to go for 4th, the door is open for Kirill Antonov.
Cihan losing a lot of time here.
Gergo Bowdy's going to get straight back through. Tim Yarshall's staring at this with a mouth-watering opportunity to move himself up higher than P9. Euronics Gaming not having a good run here at, well, to be honest, for the most part through the CUPRA SimRacing Series of 2020. Currently, Tim Yarshall running in P9 and his teammate down in 14th place of Florian Haase. Emre Cihan was maybe staring down the inside.
Posen has gone off.
That's a massive wreck. I would assume with some level of assistance for the number 13 car. That's going to be a retirement straight out of the race, which is a shame on the penultimate lap and heading on to the final one. Moritz Lerner leading the way by 1.5 seconds, going back-to-back potentially in the CUPRA SimRacing Series of 2020. Ben Zupanek having to hold on with an awful lot of pressure from the Argentinian of Juan Manuel Gomez behind, who thought of switching back to the inside into Remus. Didn't quite do so. Only a few more overtaking opportunities left for Gomez. And the intense battle pack behind. It does seem that Jack Keithley is still under pressure as Tim Yarshall's got by Gergo Baldi and up into 7th place. As Jack Keithley, David Noj and Kirill Antonov have sprinted away from this pack. What does Noj do? Our championship leader, his main rival in the championship, looking to go for a 2nd consecutive victory in the CUPRA SimRacing Series. Jack Keithley defends nicely. Gogobaldi's not really able to do anything, and the door's not really open for Kirill Antonov unless he's just overcooked the corner a little bit. There is a touch of contact, but not quite enough. Kirill Antonov not found his way through yet. Front of the field, though, coming up to the penultimate corner. Considering prior to last round, he hadn't even got a podium. He'd finished 4th a few times in the championship, then 5th and 6th, had been super duper consistent. But Moritz Lerner comes through the final corner after taking his first victory in the championship, now goes back to back in the CUPRA SimRacing Series. Great drive from Moritz Lerner, fantastic control of this race. Great stuff. Ben Zupanek and Juan Manuel Gomez round out what will be a very popular podium. Jack Keithley and David Noj round out the top 5, and Kirill Antonov behind. Tim Yarshall leads Gergo Baldi and Bent Banki and Emery Chihan across the line. David Noj, good recovery, maybe took a little bit more risk than he needed though, Rob, at certain times, but still, I'm pretty sure I'll be happy with 5th.
Yeah, great result, especially for Lerner here for the championship, and Zupanek and Gomez, who expected them on the podium. Here we've got the full results. And 5th, and where's Ben Spanky? P9. Just a couple of positions there in the championship for sure, at least a couple of points. Antonov was not that far ahead of him in the standings. Well, that was the first race. Another race is coming up though, so stay tuned. We'll just have a little commercial break, and then we're back with the second race.
Well, we've got another qualifying session to get ready for. 5 minutes in this one once we get going, and we'll see if Moritz Lerner can take back-to-back pole positions. We're getting ready then for the second race of the afternoon. Of course, sprint racing format here in the CUPRA SimRacing Series allows for 2 25-minute races, and Rob, if it's going to be anything like the previous one, we have got a lot to keep track of.
Yes, we will have indeed. This time even a shorter qualifying. It's not quite a Super Pole session, but it's basically, yeah, you've got 2 attempts. You've got the track for yourself, so there are no other cars visible. And yeah, normally we see some surprising results here in the qualifying. Let's see if Moritz Lerner can do it again.
And if he can, in that sense, where would David Noj be in that one after qualifying 11th? Wasn't so great for him. I will say the driver I believe we're staring at the moment, Sokovikov, did a brilliant job in the first race. I was going to note it. He finished in P15 after battling basically for last place with Jaroslav Honzik. Did a great job to come up through the order. Obviously, there were a few mistakes from other drivers, but got up into 15th. You know, that is a very, very credible effort on the first attempt in the CUPRA SimRacing Series 4. Qualifying then 5 minutes. And in this session, it's a private session, so you have the track entirely to yourself. No slipstream, no teammate help, and I think that will help drivers, the likes of even Jack Keithley. Of course, he would have got from Moritz Lerner. I think it might hurt though the Mirror Esports drivers who were all working in one big train. You know, you had Noj, you had Zupanek, and of course Gergo Baldi, all working as one pack. You can't do that in this session. It is just the lap anew.
Yeah, no teammate advantage this time. Lerner here on board with him for the first lap of the qualifying session. Actually quite a fun track to drive. You've got this green area outside of the curbs, and sometimes it's faster to use it, especially in the qualifying session. And that is very, very slippery.
It is a fun track. It's more one that obviously is more well known for its run in the likes of Formula 1 and stuff, and of course in the in DTM. However, having raced it in touring cars, it is a lot of fun in touring cars. It's such a raceable circuit. It is manic, as we've seen in the first race, but there's something about this circuit. It's one of the very few circuits that I know of on the planet that basically works regardless of the car. It just kind of works in anything, whether it's low power, high power, 4 wheels, 2 wheels, doesn't matter. This circuit just works for everything, and it's a joy of the circuit simplicity. Heading up towards the penultimate corner of Rindt, through that, down the hill towards the very, very tricky final corner. It's quite an awkward one. Is A1 way over the curb towards the line. Moritz Lerner going to set the first time. Of course, his pole position in the previous session was done without slipstream. He's going to be the one.
That's it shows up as 36.9 now on the time.
Yeah.
36.6 would have been really good. Now we've got David Nodge actually.
36.7. Of course, in this session, they only really get a couple of stabs at it.
And only 4 drivers have set a lap time.
Track limit's very easy to blast over in a session like this. Emery Cheehan goes to second. Martin Barner and Adam Pinches round out the top 4 as Tim Yarshaw's got into 5th place. Bence Banky, Jack Keithley now gets to 6th place. So Moritz Lerner, after what realistically isn't a brilliant time, is down in 8th place now. I'm sure he'll be able to improve on that, but he's not got very long.
Does not have very long indeed. Cheehan, meanwhile, has moved up to 2nd place. Just started another lap. Maybe time to take a small look at our fastest driver from the pre-qualifying. But Emre Cheehan, Turkish driver and still an independent, so interested teams should maybe send him a message, because he's proven time and time again that he's one of the most competitive drivers here in this championship.
Yeah, speed isn't a question for Emre Cheehan. We've seen him at least over the last sort of 6 to 9 months, has really moved forward on RaceRoom and is very much a part of the front contingent of the CUPRA SimRacing series in 2020. Decent first sector from him, and he'll need to put it all together to get ahead of David Nodge, looking for yet another pole position. Moritz Lerner goes to the front row, and that is his session done. That is as good as it'll get for Moritz Lerner, because with only 1 minute and 10 seconds now of the session, he's not going to be able to get round and start or do another lap. He's just not going to have the time. So Moritz Lerner, the best he will do is a 36.775 ahead of Emre Cheehan and on the front row, at least for now. Through the second sector, though, things are looking good for Cheehan to move himself back onto the front row and maybe contend David Nodge for that pole position. 36.6 for Nodge. He improves the margin to nearly 2/10 from his main championship rival.
Yeah, so we expected maybe not an advantage for Mira, but it doesn't seem to matter. Notch actually doing better than before. Cheehan abandoning the lap, he's not going to improve. And now Zupanek actually is the only one who's still purple. Banky up to P4, that's good from him. Gomez up to P10. Keithley up to P2 now.
Oh, nice. Gogo Baldi up to the front row. Florian Haase to P4. Good stuff. And this is pushing Moritz Lerner further and further down the order. He's the one with all the hard work. I think Zupanek is even going to finish the lap. Running out of time here. Yeah, in the qualifying results. Notch, Baldi, Keithley, Hasse and Barner. And he has no time for Zupanek here, staying P15. Moritz Lerner P6, not ideal, but salvageable. Yet another pole position for David Nodge. That is number 5 for Nodge. As he restores his run. He had 3 of the last 4 pole positions, and now it's 4 from 5. Great stuff from him. Getting ready then for the second race. And he's got his teammate alongside him on the front row. Rob, how's that going to help him?
Yeah, I think it will help him massively. Aldi has proven that he's working together with him in the races and much better position than in the first race.
Well, we'll obviously have to see how much more chaos can be brought to the table in this one. You can see Noj there back in what has been a very comfortable position for him in the CUPRA SimRacing series on pole position. Gergo Bowdy alongside Jack Keithley, very, very aggressive behind him. Florian Haase with something to prove in the blue and white car on the left-hand side of the second row. We're about to get underway again in the Styrian Mountains, and it's a great launch from David Noj. He's going to run up defending from his teammate Gergo Bowdy, who's feistily trying to keep Jack Keithley behind, who's going to go around the outside of the first corner, not really able to do anything. And Florian Haase gets up into real contact with Martin Barner. I thought it was Jack Keithley that he was getting by. Ben Spanky still behind Moritz Lerner, who's holding on to 6th place. You can see in the background there, he's gone to the outside, has Moritz Lerner, of trying to get around Martin Barner. To the inside then, Gergo Bowdy defends from Jack Keithley, who gets a bit of a contact there from Florian Haase. Not ideal, and that's opened the door for Martin Barner, who's got up into 4th place now. A bit of less of a chaotic start this one, Rob.
Look at the background. Not over yet. Haase losing the place to Barner. Löhner right behind him, and then Bunky. But this time, completely different situation from the qualifying contenders, and Antonov has gone off.
Yeah, not going well for Antonov. Juan Manuel Gomez, after a great run in the previous race, down in 14th place as Florian Haase goes to the inside of Moritz Lerner and deposes Lerner back down to 6th place. Door's not going to be open there, and the next one to try and get by Lerner is Banky, and we know how aggressive Banky can be, especially considering there is some championship contention on the line between the pair of them, as they're both trying to fight to get up with David Noj in this title fight. Haase had to be very committed through the penultimate corner there as he runs down towards the last one, looking backwards from the Euronics gaming driver to our previous race winner Moritz Lerner, and Ben Spanky behind. Noj going to lead the line over the first lap. 0.4 of a second from Jack Keithley, Barner, Haase, Lerner, Banky, Fiducci, Yarshall and Chihan, your top 10. This is a perfect scenario for Noj.
Yeah.
Absolutely perfect. He's got his teammate behind. Jack Keithley's not really close enough to make a fight on Gergo Bowdy, and he's got his teammate in, or the main championship rival in the main battle pack.
Oh, and Banky has just gone past Löhner.
There we go. And Fiducci might try and follow his way through in the black and white car if Moritz Lerner can't make this stick around the outside of Schlossgold. Ben Spanky then trying to move up into 6th place. Ahead of this, we've got Barner and Haase still going side by side. Haase with an excellent cutback.
Löhner almost loses the place to Fiducci.
Covered it off well though. Still, Fiducci's going to try and slot it around the outside, but not really able to make it move. Gone for a cutback towards Lauda. Someone who has got a cutback at Lauda is Florian Haase, who's then up into 4th position on Barner, who's having a great drive himself in P5, the Hungarian. Virtual drivers by TX3 will be well happy with that, at least thus far. In the background, Emery Chihan going side by side with Juan Manuel Gomez, and they're still going side by side in the red and black. The contact. The race is not going well for Gomez. Neither is it really for Chihan, considering the pace he was carrying into this round.
Also not for Supernek, who's only in P14. 2nd place last time out.
Yeah, it's really not going well for some of these drivers that did very well in the previous race. Not going so well here. Earl Vega on his return to the championship.
Pushed off the circuit there by Antonov.
Antonov's desperate to get his way back up the order.
Because it's the 2nd time it happened to him. And there are 2 drop scores, of course, but the Zandvoort race was a race to forget for him, and this could be another one. Yeah, Taviani in the foreground, going past Ponto, gets another push from Vega now.
Oh, Ponto coming straight back across, though. That was close to quite an off there, as he was just trying to pick the slipstream back up from Ottaviani. Cyril Antonov going around the outside. Again, we've not seen that work at all today, and I don't think we're going to see it this time either. Has Carol Vega recently been picked up by Team Fortilla? I think he has.
Yeah, he's been picked up this year. one of the oldest drivers on the grid, already over 50 years old, but certainly not slow at all. No start in Server 1, but he's a regular contestant in Server 2 in this championship. I think he's been in every other race in Server 2, so happy to see him here in the top split. And yeah, he's showing well.
I remember seeing him battling some classic Porsches back at Road America. I think we were doing commentary on that a long time ago.
Yeah, he's improved so much since then.
Yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't be surprised if we see him in as more of a mainstay in Division 1.
Yeah, especially because he's got the commitment as well. And we've got a fun fact actually prepared for this, so let's just bring it up here. 170,000 separated the top 24 on the leaderboard. So it's incredibly close, and it's not really enough to be a good driver, but you have to grind, you really have to get a perfect lap. Just even to qualify for the race, because there's once again been like 3,800 drivers on the leaderboard trying hard to get into the race. So you really need to have the mentality as well to practice, to grind, to go each day again to improve your lap time. And I think this is what Karel Vega has, and he's, you know, maybe doesn't have the same speed as someone like Antonov, who's here doing a fantastic move around the outside. Actually, Vega might have a slowdown penalty here.
Definitely say that, yeah.
Yeah, he might not have the same, you know, natural pace as some of the other drivers here on the grid, but he's got the work ethic. Oh, and he makes a mistake!
This is a commentary curse if ever I've seen one. It's a very long slide through the gravel track.
Still sliding. Does he have a puncture, maybe?
I think he's got some form of issue with that car, because that was a very long slide and he's not really back up to speed. Either way, your point is still a valid one. You know, you've got to put the work in, and Karel Vega does have the ability to do it without sort of losing hope, and hopefully we'll see him more throughout the CUPRA SimRacing series in 2020 in Division 1. As we can see, Florian Haase, almost a very, very similar story of the previous race. The top three working together to run away.
Yeah.
One of the title contenders in that top three leading away, and the other one battling further down the order. You can see there, Moritz Lerner is actually able to pull away from Adam Pinches, who's defending from Tim Yarshall and Gianmarco Fiducci. Tim Yarshall's got the cutback as Adam Pinches is over the corner for AAA Esports. Not ideal for him. And Gianmarco Fiducci is also going to get through and up into 9th place as well. Banky and Lerner. Oh, sorry, not Banky and Lerner. Banky and Barner. Banky down the inside. Is there going to be contact between the two? Barner just gives enough room and fires it all the way around the outside. Nicely held defensively from Martin Barner. That's Banky. Whilst they're battling, coming under pressure from the previous race winner. Now a two-time race winner in the CUPRA SimRacing series after not getting a podium. We know that the big thing with Moritz Lerner is his consistency. His relentless consistency. And that's why David Noj would be a little bit concerned. I think Barner... Oh, no, he was just getting the... trying to pull the slipstream from Florian Haase. I thought he might have had a slowdown there and was pulling off the racing line. But the reason why the likes of David Noj might be a little bit concerned when Moritz Lerner starts picking up a few race victories and starts closing down that championship margin is because Lerner is one who will fire at this championship with the most relentless consistency. And if David Noj makes mistakes, it will cost him big time. Might have overcooked T1 there.
Just a little bit. I think when you just go over the curb, you might get away without a slowdown, as long as you don't do it every lap. Could be a position to make an attack, especially because Banky is kind of forced to go on the outside. Barner was very early on the brakes.
I think Lerner was trying to get up and under Barner there, or at least trying to stick on the back of him and force his way through on Banky. Banky's going to return to the racing line, I think. Here we go, down the inside. I think Moritz Lerner's, it's just not really going to be close enough as Bence Banky trying to go around the outside of Barner. Just, again, seen it a few times. It's never worked, and it still hasn't. And,
it hasn't disadvantaged Banky either. He can still keep the position against Lerner. That's great racing. They're very respectful. I don't think Barner has the same pace as most of the other cars in the top 10 at the moment. He's dropping away from Haase.
fear for Moritz Lerner is that Tim Yarshall's now part of this this quartet, as they all continue to battle to get inside the top 5. And we know how aggressive Tim Yarshall is. We saw him fire it down the inside into the final corner in the previous race, to the delight, shall we say, of Gianmarco Fiducci. I don't think we'd see the same emotion from Moritz Lerner. He's very controlled.
Yeah, it's just a difference in approach, and we don't have a camera on Banki, but for him it's the same, like it is with Baldi as well. They're just not emotional at all, but it's not always the best strategy. We've seen Keithley win plenty of races and championships, and he's the total opposite.
Yeah. Sometimes the passion is what fires you forward, as Bence Banki's really got to the inside. That was a beautiful cutback, and Tim Yarshall's also got it done on Moritz Lerner as well. Not great for Moritz Lerner, as Barner's going to have to try and hold it on Bence Banki around the outside. He had done previously, and he is ahead going into Schlossgold. Oh, Lerner! No, big Lerner! Big off from Lerner. Huge mistake, down to 14th place. That is massive for the championship. Moritz Lerner, with that mistake, just overcooked it on the brakes. Made contact with Tim Yarshall. Tim Yarshall, Banki and Barner, I think, are fine to keep going. But Lerner is the one, courtesy of his own mistake, I believe, we didn't really catch the best angle of it, all the way down in 14th place. You saw there on the right-hand side, like you said, not really that much emotion from it. He knows the mistakes happened. Regardless, there's nothing he can do about it now. He just needs to get his head down and try and fire his way through this pack, and that's going to be very, very, very hard work, considering the pace of Emre Cihan, Bensu Panek, Gomez, Attila Dina as well.
Yeah, because everyone's fast on this grid. Zupanek, he was second in the last race, he's now on 12th. So it won't be easy to overtake anyone.
Yeah. Gomez was third, he's 11th. Emre Cihan was the top qualifier coming into this, and he's in 13th. Immense talent on the grid here for the 2020 CUPRA SimRacing Series, as Barner's going to have to defend to the inside of Bence Banki. Banki's decided to try and slot it up there anyway. Oh, look at that from Tim Yarshall. That would, if that's a clap, that is a big clap for Tim Yarshall. The perfect cutback. He saw that coming from a mile away, widened up the corner and just fired it through with immense speed and gets himself up to P5. Gianmarco Fiducci now right on the back of Bence Banki, as the Hungarian of Adam Pinches has found his way through potentially on Gianmarco Fiducci, heading towards the central part of the lap. Oh, it's going to be a bit touch close there between Gianmarco Fiducci and Adam Pinches. Pinches, previous race winner in the championship as well. Gianmarco Fiducci, not quite yet, but has been very much up there. Had the first pole position of the season, if I remember correctly. But wasn't able to take victory that day, as it was Pinches who took it away from him. And Pinches down the inside of the penultimate corner there and does gain 8th place. Attila Dina as well, very much part of this battle, and a potential top 5 waiting for him.
Best race of the season for him, T3 Esports. T3, of course, that's a real racing team, competing in the GT Masters Championship, in the real one. And yeah, he's one of the youngest drivers on the grid, and one of these guys who's been up and coming over the last year. And this is the best showing I've seen from him so far.
Yeah, T3 had, as a sim racing, on the sim racing side, they had their teams spread out.
Yeah.
Whoa! That's Yarshall going way wide. Whoa! My goodness me. Contact there with Barner. Absolutely fired across. And now he's down there with the likes of Moritz Lerner. And Emre Cihan got absolutely sent. Not quite sure what happened there. The door's now open for Emre Cihan to come through, and I don't think Tim Yarshall will be particularly pleased about that. Yet another place that he's dropped back, the young German. Back there with Moritz Lerner.
Pushing Cihan here.
I think Lerner might like this, because we know how aggressive Tim Yarshall is, and if he's got the red mist, this might be great for Moritz Lerner to follow his way through. There's one position done for Moritz Lerner, so it's already working out at the moment. Whether he'll try on Tim Yarshall at the penultimate corner, I don't think he will. Oh, he makes contact with him though, and goes for the cutback down towards the final corner. Maybe a bit of a misjudgment there from Moritz Lerner. Whilst they're all battling though, the pack ahead is running away, so maybe not the most ideal and smartest. They're pushing each other across the road. Oh, they're going 3 wide up towards turn 1. If I was Moritz Lerner, I'd be backing out of this one whilst those two go side by side. Certainly not doing so. Further contact on the apex of the corner as Lerner's got both of them. Oh, it's getting very, very feisty here for what is 12th position. And like you say, they're just dropping off from Gomez.
Let's see if there's another dive coming up into Remus' corner. It is, but it's coming up from Gian. Yarshall takes a massive amount of curve on the inside, and Antonov all of a sudden is in the fight as well.
I remember this when we were doing the GT Masters qualifiers around here, and they were doing the racing. Single file, fine. The moment you go side by side there, you start costing yourself an awful lot of time. So whilst they're diving each other...
Dina is somehow up to 8th.
Indeed. Doing great work. Still side by side with Fiducci, which I don't think is on the most ideal line, as Ben Superneck is also on the inside of him and gets through. So he was in 8th briefly and then dropped back down to 10th. But Attila Dina is very much a part of this.
David Notch, meanwhile, he's still leading the race. Then behind him, there's a close battle. Aldi, who hasn't really dropped off, and Keithley as well. Keithley's been calm the whole race. Hasn't tried an overtaking attempt. I've been watching the timing gap. He never tried a move.
Of course, this is important for David Notch, not only for his championship as well. He's already taken 1 record in the CUPRA SimRacing series thus far, and that's for the most amount of pole positions, having taken 5 in the championship. If he gets this victory, though, that will be the 4th victory, and he'll be the first driver to get to 4, putting him #1 on the all-time winners list for the CUPRA SimRacing series. So it's important stuff for David Notch. Gogo Bowdy behind, trying to defend from Jack Keithley, who's trying to get his 3rd. This is his first real attempt. There's a decent cutback in there for Keithley. Didn't quite work out for him. Still 8 minutes to go on the clock. So plenty of time as Attila Dina's trying to get by Ben Zupanek at the bottom end of that battle for 5th place. There's Jack Keithley on the right side of your screen, diving it down the inside at Schlossgold. Oh, he has done it. That was very, very aggressive. Up into 2nd position for Jack Keithley. Looking for his 3rd victory, 2nd of the season if he can do so, having taken 1 back in Imola. And realistically, his championship chance has faded. We'll go with faded after a number of disconnections across the championship. He won't be fazed by the idea that these two are both Mirror Esports drivers. Jack Keithley is one that he'll fight regardless. It doesn't matter whether they're teammates or not. That won't have even crossed his mind. He's just sat there thinking, well, these are just 2 competitors that I can try and get by and win a race, not thinking about how they're going to work tactically together.
Baldi has got a much better exit here, and I would expect Baldi to immediately attack Keithley again, because otherwise Keithley might be able to close the gap to David Notch.
You're absolutely right, Rob. Is he diving at T1? Near contact? There surely was a touch between the two, and that's cost Gogo Bowdy a bit of time and hasn't really cost Jack Keithley very much. Absolutely right, though. Smart move to try and fire it down as soon as possible. I don't think much has changed in this battle for 5th place, despite it being a lot of cars. There's Gomez, who's just sat on the back of this. You saw him do this back in Zandvoort as well. He sat on the back of the battle for the top 10 and basically took a driver or 2 towards the end of the race. Who was that who was slow in the background? I think that was Posan, maybe. Oh! So Yarshall's dropped down to 16th place when he was battling with Moritz Lerner. There's been further issues for Tim Yarshall. Kirill Antonov having a terrible round thus far, as Posan's going to try and hold it around the outside, and Kirill Antonov, the young Russian, gets that one done. What has happened to Tim Yarshall again?
What is he doing here in the battles? He's making so much contact with the other cars. He's already on a penalty, of course, from an earlier round. Squeezing himself through here against Posan. And if he picks up too many strikes, there could be a qualifying ban or even a race ban following up. So it's not that there are no rules, it's just that the drivers are taking a few more liberties than they should in this race. Yarshall has to watch out because he already can forget about points in this race pretty much.
Yeah, the thing is with Tim Yarshall, we've seen it a few times through his sim racing career. He's young, he's very, very fast. But, and there is a large but with that, he's a little bit too aggressive for his own good at times. And we've seen some very well-crafted drives from him, but others that are less so. And this is looking more on that side of proceedings, realistically, as we see the top 5 of this battle for 5th place pulling away from Gomez and Attiladina, who's dropped down to 11th, as Gomez has got by. Viducci we're looking at the moment with Ben Zupanek, trying to get to the inside of Adam Pinches. Barner still leading from Banki, very much the cork in the bottle, so to say. And closing in the background, Moritz Lerner in 12th place and Emery Chihan. You can just see them there. Close enough as Banki's trying to go around the outside again.
This time it could work.
I don't think so. I think Barnum might just have it, but oh, he's there. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. He is there. And going into the central part of the lap, I think he might have this as Bent Banki. He's very much on the preferred line on the run down towards Lauder. I think this might open the door for a few other drivers to come through. Barner's going to drop back into 6th place. Great move from Bent Banki. Finally got it around the outside. Barner is very much there. This might open the door for Pinches as well to fire his way through for Triple Eight. Certainly is penultimate corner for him. It didn't work though, as Barner was able to hang on. Running wide though, the final corner. 3 minutes and 47 seconds to go. Got a couple more laps in us yet. Intense pressure here for 5th place.
That car off the side of the track there, that's Moritz Lerner.
A tale of what could have been this round.
Oh, Keithley's off! Sorry to interrupt you there, but Keithley off in P2.
Costly mistake from Jack Keithley. I wonder if he locked... Maybe locked the rears or something and started sliding. I don't know what has happened to him. But either way, down to 3rd place. It's looking like it could be a 1-2 for Mirror Esports. I think a potential 3rd victory in the CUPRA SimRacing series has faded for Jack Keithley, and the all-time winners list looks like it could be headed the way of David Noj. His closest rival, at least on that sheet, is Bent Banki, as Viducci has got by Pinches, who's dropped down to 9th place now. Pinches dropped down a few positions, now by Gomez as well. And now also Attiladina on the inside. Wow, really not gone well there for Adam Pinches. He's got the inside though on the run up towards the penultimate corner of Rink Curve. Saw some lights flashing there from Ben Zupanek. He's got the inside line going for a cut. Back there is Attiladina, and he is very much there. And he is, oh, he got spun off though! That's a shame for Attiladina. It was a great drive. He's still going to be 13th, but Adam Pinches there, not 100% sure what happened, whether it was Attiladina coming across or whether it was Pinches trying to rejoin. But either way, Dina down the order and Pinches to 11th as Moritz Lerner has got himself back up into the top 10. You can see ahead of that, you've got Emery Chihan and Adam Pinches. I think Pinches might be dropping yet another position here for Triple Eight.
Those fights all around, but we have to go back to Keithley because that fight is for P2 and he's already up the inside of Garibaldi again.
Certainly is. I think he's already got that one stuck. Whether Gergo is going to go for a cutback here. Whilst they battle hard, Florian Haase could be eyeing up maybe if something happens over the next lap. Of course, we're on the penultimate lap now. If something happens, a potential podium for Florian Haase, and that would be a sweet relief for him. I think he might just come up one position short, though. I don't see anything too major happening. Jack Keithley getting in the way of a potential Mirror Esports 1-2. Gergo Bowdy, who's not impressed as he did in the previous season, was in championship contention in 2019. Obviously a race winner at Monza that year. Jack Keithley just not really impressed too much over the previous 2 races, but this one has been very much a part of it at the front end.
Final lap now.
Jack Heathley defending heavily to the inside of T1. Gogo's going to try and go for a cutback there, just times it not really too great, and Jack Heathley pulled it up beautifully on the apex of the corner. He's his eyes of a victory have gone. Jack Heathley is purely set on holding on to second position, so he can slow it down as much as he wants on the apex of the corner. You can see Gogo Bowdy there, picks it up to the left-hand side, might have overcooked the corner ever so slightly there. It certainly did, as Jack Heathley's able to hang on. You can see, this is what I mean by the time that they were causing. It's Florian Haas's closing and closing and closing. And if there is more time lost between these two, like I say, you never know. Gogo Bowdy still not able to do it. Jack Heathley is basically stopping the car on every apex. A beautiful defence from him thus far. As they're 3 wide, that's Adam Pinches to the inside, running way too far wide. Moritz Lerner's going to hang on, and Emery Chihan up to 11th position. Back up to the battle for second. Jack Heathley hanging on at the moment from Gogo Bowdy, from Florian Haase. David Nagy has gone. The timer has ticked down to 0. The final lap of the race is here. And looking to take a 5th victory in the CUPRA SimRacing Series. 4th victory in the CUPRA SimRacing Series. David Nagy for Mira Esports. One hand, very much at the top of the championship, and he's going to cross the line yet again for a victory. Great stuff from him. And David Nagy going to be not joined, at least in second place, by his teammate Gogo Bowdy, but Jack Heathley did a great drive to second, and Gogo Bowdy already a bit disinterested in the race. Only third. Florian Haase, a well-deserved P4 from him. Bit of sort of just doing his own little thing that race, and Ben Spanky up to P5. Intense couple of races there, Rob.
And a lot of Cupras, they are wrecked on the start-finish straight. They still need them in 2 weeks for the next race. Jaroslav Honzik, P18 in the end. I think P19 because one driver left the server. I think still he can be happy with his return. Even more happy will be David Nagy, because he lost few points to Moritz Lerner, and then he regained most of them in this race. Where was Lerner? Actually only P10. That means he has extended his gap in this round of the championship.
Could be over 100 points for Nagy heading into the next round. And I'm sure I'll be very, very happy with that. Of course, the endurance round, we head to the Slovakia ring next. For Nagy, having taken his 4th victory, heads to number 1 on the all-time winners list. And of course, he's number 1 on the all-time pole position list with 5. So 5 of those. It was 4 in the previous 5 races, and now he's taken 3 race wins in the previous 5, and that's a pretty credible record, having finished 2nd back in Monza. The only real blemish on that was the previous race here, where he finished 6th.
Here we can see the calendar of the next races coming up. Slovakia ring, 2 weeks. You can actually qualify right now. The competition is open. You can try it. Maybe you're fast enough to be on the grid here yourself, or you qualify for one of the lower servers. 4 servers running in parallel in the CUPRA SimRacing Series. And yeah, Lewis, what a race it was here. And I think we've got our 3 contenders for the championship. Nagy, Lerner and Baldi. Not Baldi, of course. Banki, of course. You know, all having kind of decent races. Banki maybe dropping off a little bit. But this championship is just so tight. It shows that everyone in the top 15, you know, no matter if it is Supernek, Gomez, Attila Dina, they can all go for a top result if it just works out for them.
Yeah, we saw some very, very impressive drives, you say, from Supernek and from Juan Manuel Gomez in the first race, getting onto the podium. Any of the drivers realistically on the grid, we can see fighting up towards those podiums. And of course, when we head to the endurance round, it's double points naturally for that race, a 60-minute race when we head to the Slovakia ring. And those of you that are thinking, oh, well, I don't really like the Slovakia ring that much, trust me, the racing round there is quality, and that for an endurance race should be absolutely fantastic. We'll join you there in a couple of weeks' time, though. Thank you, though, for joining us here in the Styrian Mountains, and until that time we come back, goodbye.